Conquest really allows us to show clients both mathematically and visually the different situations that we're analyzing. And I feel like that's such a value add because up until this point, so many have tossed around the ideas hypothetically about different alternatives, but that's why they're asking these questions because they still can't fully understand which alternative or strategy that they're looking at might be more beneficial. And so being able to actually support that with figures, which Conquest does a great job of showing if they're more of a visual person, or with numbers, is really a value add. And so I think that's been the biggest support for some of our clients who have just been, thinking that this is a great idea or maybe a poor idea, but not entirely able to analyze it. So I think that's one of the best ways Conquest has supported our clients. So up until we started using Conquest, I'm from an accounting firm, and we would typically use Excel to model out some of these, and it was really tough. Toggling on and off a certain strategy was not a click of a button, changing the number. It was rebuilding models, and it was not efficient. It was really frustrating for us. It was probably frustrating for the client because the turnaround time wasn't quick. It was, okay, let's take that away. We'll get back to you, let you know. We're trying to build out tax models, all different sorts of layers if there's corporations or trusts. And so kind of taking everything and bringing it together was a really nice feature of Conquest, and the ease at which it allows you to turn on and off strategies. So if we're looking at two alternatives and toggling between the two, it's not rebuilding full models. We can keep the base, which is kind of like your static state, and add in the various components or remove them, and we can look at the outcomes. And so I think that's one of my favorite features and one that I use every day. One that so many clients come to us with, and it's a very basic one, but it's something like, should I pay off my mortgage? Or should I keep my funds invested? And it's one that I think keeps a lot of people up at night. The interest rate environment, especially in the last few years, has been pretty volatile. There's discomfort with, where rates could be going or where they have been. Their parents are still, or even the client themselves might still be of the era, where they saw interest rates in the teens and low 20s back from the 80s. So there's a lot of anxiousness, I guess, associated with mortgages. So one of the success stories we had was, just one that we come across every day where a client came in and like, I don't know if I should pay this off. They had a variable mortgage, interest rates were changing. They had, originally signed in when they, it was like a 1% rate. Obviously that rate isn't available right now. And so they were nervous, and we were able to look at the various alternatives. They weren't sure if they would have enough cash flow, but really just being able to model it out, come up with a plan. And I think the piece that they had a plan, the peace of mind that they had a plan in place, and they weren't going to incur huge penalties as a result of potentially paying it off, was a great success. And it wasn't even the number that is how I define success in that. It's that peace of mind factor. And so I think that speaks to a lot of the decisions that Conquest helps us evaluate, is giving clients that peace of mind. So I think that's just one of the examples of a success story. I think the plan with Sam is a very nice tool to have. You kind of take it for granted, some of the low-hanging fruit ideas that it just seems so obvious that sometimes that you're like, why aren't people doing this? But Sam sometimes gives you those to just add in and hit the low-hanging fruit first. I have seen some funky things when I've added in a plan with Sam option. So you really have to know what's going on behind the scenes and making sure you're looking at the cash flow to see how that's impacted. Because I have had some interesting results, but for the most part, I think it's been great. And I think they're really great ideas and tools to get you thinking. And even just a baseline, it may not be, the fulsome response, but it's a great start in a lot of cases. And I think that is a really valuable tool because it just keeps it at the forefront of a lot of the ideas that can be used. So I think Plan with Sam is a great option to have. I think it's been instrumental. Conquest has eliminated that Excel modeling that we were trying to do before. It was, like I said before, really inefficient. Um, it was clunky, cumbersome. We weren't able to look at various scenarios. I mean, you can obviously model out inputs and reference cells and things like that, but Conquest just makes it that much easier and presents it in a much nicer format, right? You have folks that come in are so anxious about numbers to begin with, and you can show them, a diagram versus the actual numbers. And I feel like nowadays with Apple Watches and things like that, the pictures are a lot more of a easier to digest visual if someone is anxious about numbers versus putting up a full screen of numbers. And so the integration of Conquest and having that ability to show them different options, I mean, Excel can do a lot of those things, but it's just not as user friendly, and it's a little more time consuming. So I think that's really what's taken us to the next level, is having Conquest ability to present information in different methods to tailor them to our clients' needs. I think the most rewarding part of having Conquest to help our clients reach their goals has been the sleep at night factor. You can almost visually see the stress in the shoulders come down when clients have a path forward. It's kind of like getting in your car and knowing the destination you want to get to, but not knowing the directions of how to get there. A lot of these clients have just gotten in their car and started driving, trying to figure it out as they go. Is it a left turn? Is it a right turn? 80 miles, 100 kilometers an hour. What are we doing here? And they're just heading in the general direction. And the ability to give them, discrete action steps to say, you need to set aside this much, you need to do this, X, Y, and Z, to hit that directional coordinate. You can just see their anxiety come down. And they've said, they sleep better at night, knowing that maybe a child is taken care of or a goal has been met. And it's just really rewarding to see that. So I think that's been some of the most rewarding pieces of working with Conquest and with our clients. If someone was evaluating whether to use Conquest or not, I would highly recommend it. It's been a total game changer for us. You obviously have to understand the numbers behind it, but it is such a valuable tool and makes the presentation of the information to clients so digestible. And the support team at Conquest is fantastic. I feel like it's one of the only programs left that you actually get to speak to a human being and not just a chatbot when you run into an issue, and their team has just been so fabulous. So I can't say enough good things about the Conquest team, and the product is continually evolving. There's always new features being added. They've taken feedback and incorporated that into it, and really continue to build out the program. So I think it's just a wonderful resource. I'd highly recommend it.